Okay, let's do this. It is Friday. Where's my pen? And market's still open, actually, a little bit after 3 o'clock, but I am done for the week. I got a lot I want to talk about, certainly, and let's get right to it. First of all, thank you very much for the feedback and for putting up with the celebrating and certainly documenting what's been going on in our family's life and Chelsea's life lately. You know, when I do this, I try to do this in such a way where I always draw parallels to trading, because this is primarily a trading journal, and hopefully you know by now everywhere I look in life I see trading stories. If it isn't blatantly obvious by now, you know, Chelsea's story is certainly heartwarming from a human perspective, but certainly from a trading perspective and any area of your life that requires perseverance. I thoroughly enjoy celebrating other people's accomplishments far more than my own. The fact that you know, here she was clinging to life about 8 years ago, and has now gone wire to wire, being ranked #1 in her class for 7 straight years, culminating with a Valedictorian 4.24 GPA. The reason it's over 4, by the way, is that she took advanced placement courses, which apparently weights it greater. It's the highest GPA ever recorded at the school. And again, she deserves all the kudos on that. So again, congratulations to her. I want to get though back to some more trading items. I want to use the NBA Finals. I'm going to do that in a little bit to draw some more parallels. But I want to respond though to quite a bit of mail I've been getting. And this isn't a new problem, but it seems to surface every now and then. And apparently that there are a lot of people frustrated with stops. You know, they're stopping out when the market's turning and that kind of thing. And I guess one issue is and I'm not picking on anybody, any place, or that kind of thing. But there are at least the common theme in these emails was that first of all, they're following someone else's advice, entry exit criteria. Oy, that's problem number one, and it gives me a headache just thinking about it. But here's the issue, and you know, there is a school of thought which is ridiculously wrong in terms of a point-based stop, and I will go to my grave preaching this. It's throughout the jelly materials. You know, there are many ways to trade, and there's not much black and white in trading. This is black and white. You cannot trade with a specific stop. Okay, it won't work over the long run. You know, you've got to ask yourself, is the reason that you got in that trade no longer valid? Is the reason that you got in that trade no longer valid? Okay. And when you answer that question, you know, it's going to have nothing to do with a 1-point stop, 3-point stop, 5-point stop. Nothing to do with it. So how can you ever enter a trade with a specific stop? Now if whatever you're defining as your stop happens to be happens to be at a certain level where the premise is as a result no longer valid, fine, okay. But apparently that there are you know, there are people that are very frustrated because they're getting stopped out over and over again before market turns. You know, this has been a problem in the industry for ages, and especially when you've got people that don't trade, who are you know, fall into the auction calling category. And I'm just telling you how I feel, like I always do. So you know, you got to develop self-sufficiency. You got to be able to read the market on your own. If you want additional sets of eyes and ears, great. But please, you know, ask yourself. You know, I'll give you an example. If you happen to be early in a trade, you know, and let's say you have a 2-point stop, and you're early, and 2 points, you know, just brings you right down to support. Duh, you know. Anyway, enough said. I could be in my soapbox for ages on that. Let's talk about NBA Finals. Again, parallels to trading. I mentioned what Ray Allen's been going through. He went 7 for 7 in the first quarter of, or first half of Game 2. Set a record for 3-pointers in the NBA. He hasn't hit one since. Well, I guess he hit one in the second half of that game. Hasn't hit one after that. Intensity, focus, rhythm, consistency, confidence. You have to have confidence in this business. I've often said if I had to get rid of my capital and my confidence, I'd rather get rid of my capital. All right? I need confidence to trade. You do as well. And in any performance-based endeavor, whether it's basketball, which is both physical and mental, or whether it is trading, which is, you know, predominantly mental, obvious, you got to retain that confidence. So huge, huge, huge. Thank you for all the responses to the John Wooden post. I encourage you really to print that off and stick it in your folder of important trading aspects. I've actually got my own folder right here. I read it every day, okay, in the morning. All right. And again, it has nothing to do with the fact that I did the post. I just tried to create some trading parallels, and he provided all the materials. So, again, just a great story there. Let's see what else. I want to follow up. There was a comment on my post on the dome and the order bluffing that goes on. Someone was inferring that I actually use that to read the tape. I do not. I just happen to have it open. I happen to be using it that day in my order entry system. I happen to see it. I use charts as my confirmation. That's it. What else? Back on the intensity comment and back on the NBA Finals. And I mentioned this some time ago. It was mentioned in one of the press conferences that at that level, it all comes down to who wants it. The skill, very comparable, okay, both sides. It comes down to who wants it. Who wanted it more in Game 3? Lakers. Who wanted it more last night? Celtics. Who's diving for balls? Who's got that conviction? Who's willing to go the extra mile? Who's willing to go after those missing inches that we talked about here? That will be my biggest challenge as long as I trade, for the rest of my life, right? I have no more or less talent than any of the other people that I'm competing against at the professional level. But it frankly comes down to how bad do I want it? How bad do I want it? Am I willing to get up and make the sacrifices? Am I willing to put myself in an uncomfortable position? Am I willing to go that extra mile? All right. When I do, I trade very, very well. When I don't, I'm sleepwalking. Okay, and it continues to be an issue for me, and I try to find ways to play games with myself. One of the reasons I'm going to be recording myself via the video live trading sessions in the near future is because I want to find another way to just get myself jacked up. I had a great time 08, 09. One of the greatest things about doing the blog during that stretch was I really look forward to doing the blog at the end of every day. I wanted to write about the day I was documenting, and some of it was live that I would just post later on in the day, and I need that kind of thing. And so this is going to help me do some troubleshooting as well as help hopefully you folks via the blog and via some teaching tools. So I'm going to continue to pursue that. Haven't started it yet, trying to get that process in place. What else? The more I look at coaching, psychological coaching, the more I realize that Dr. Brett was right. You've got to be your own coach. Okay, I've been working with a coach, haven't been particularly thrilled, and I'm going back to some of the old materials, and basically, it just comes down to reminding yourself, what you need to be doing. Okay, great book, Mark Douglas. If you haven't picked it up, Trading in the Zone, that I bought years ago. It was his follow-up to the Disciplined Trader book. Chapter 8, if you're looking for a booster shot, or if you're working through a slump or a flash crash type comeback. Just a great reminding that every moment is unique. It helps. It's actually helping me reinforce the edge that I have as a trader and helping the confidence level. So find what it takes. Be self-sufficient. Don't rely on other people. Additional sets of eyes and ears are great. Okay, associating with other traders is great, but make that entry and exit based on your judgment. Premise-based stop, please. All right, later. Have a great weekend. We'll post more shortly.